Oh, remember murder hornets? Well, officials now say the North American invasion of the world's largest hornet is over. Murder hornets were discovered on Vancouver Island and in Washington state. Remember this all the way back in 2019. That caused concerns about the destruction to other insects and health risks to humans. Well, now scientists are celebrating their eradication as a rare win over an invasive species, at least for the time being. For a closer look, we are joined by Dan Riskin. He's CTV science and technology specialist and author of science newsletter, The Bat Signal. Happy New Year, Dan.
Happy New Year. It's great to talk to you. And what a happy way to, I'm really thrilled that we're telling a good news story about murder hornets instead of a terrifying one. This is great news.
Okay, well, in order to highlight why it's a good news story, let's talk about the bad news of murder hornets. They can destroy a honeybee hive in 90 minutes. What else makes them so dangerous?
Yeah, that's kind of their specialty, is to go in and attack other insects and eat their larvae. And so they have a coordinated system of going into a beehive, killing all the bees, eating their babies, eating them. And it takes 90 minutes to wipe out a honeybee colony. And so that has huge economic implications for agriculture, because honeybees are important for, all kinds of different crops that need to be pollinated. But they also go after native insects. So that's an additional problem that would be harder to track. And then the other thing is they're big, terrifying, painful wasps that are very scary and attack people in swarms. And so we also don't want to be attacked by them. And their stingers are especially long and can go all the way through a honeybee keeper's suit. So the only way to protect yourself against these things is to wear basically like Kevlar. They are the scariest, they are very scary. I am terrified of them, and I'm very happy to be reporting that they are apparently eradicated from North America.
And I think it's important to underscore for people that you actually love insects and bugs and all things creepy crawly. So the fact that you hate them just lets us know how dangerous they are.
I didn't say I hate them. I respect them, and I'm very scared of them. But I'm very glad not to live with them, that's for sure.
Okay, to me, murder hornets are always associated with the pandemic, because I remember thinking, oh, now we have murder hornets. But there have been no reported sightings of murder hornets, at least in Canada and BC, since 2021. How did Washington finally get rid of them?
Yeah, so biologists jumped on the case very early, and that's something that very rarely happens with invasive species. Sometimes we wait until things get out of control before we really notice. But murder hornets were scary enough that people got on it right away. Tracking murder hornets, putting radio tags on them with dental floss, following them. They're big enough to do that. Following them back to their nest, cutting down the tree, moving it into a quarantine area, and then killing them one by one. They're huge. And the other thing is that they would smoke out a nest and think they'd killed them all. And when they brought it back to the lab, they'd find that they had not in fact killed them all. And just one tree could produce 200 queens. And so, are you getting all the nests? Are you killing all the hornets that are in those nests? So many things could have gone wrong. And basically just a really methodical system of traps set up in the habitat and asking people to please report any murder hornets they saw. People were very good about doing that, because everybody's scared of these things.
Yeah.
And they just managed to get all the nests apparently and smoke them all out. And so apparently, since we haven't seen one in 3 years, we think that they really are gone.
Okay, so we have crossed murder hornets off the list. What other invasive species are we watching for now?
Yeah, it really points out that if you act quickly and act early, you can nip these things in the bud. And the invasive species that Canada really has to be thinking about right now is much bigger than a murder hornet, maybe a little less scary on the front, but it's these wild boars that have been spreading across North America for a good decade now. And they are really destructive. These things can go into a habitat, dig up the soil, kill a whole bunch of things that live in the soil, but then also ruin crops. And they do it very quickly with those really powerful noses, and they're super smart. And so they're very good at avoiding people. People have said, oh, it's simple, let's just hunt them. But when you hunt these things, it's like Predator in the movies. They get smarter and they figure out how hunters work, and they hide better, and they spread into smaller groups. And they are a formidable one for us to take on now. So we'll see how that one goes, but fingers crossed that it goes as well as it did with the murder hornets.
Okay, so crossed off murder hornets. Now we're looking at wild pigs. Wild boars. Yeah. All right, Dan Riskin, CTV science and technology specialist and author of the science newsletter, The Bat Signal. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.